I wanted to go over today about a different perspective to the classic "what games should we make" topic. It's always known that, you shouldn't make your dream game as your first game. You should, settle on a simpler, more bite-sized project. But I wanted to give some more clear metrics on how you actually find what is manageable for you and how you can complete a game. So step one is to join a game jam. I strongly recommend should go to the next game jam available. You can look it up on itch.io. They have a great menu for when the next game jams are coming. From there, you'll know in a weekend what you can do right now, what you're good at and what you're bad at. Okay, once you're done with the game jam, you'll know exactly what you can do and what you can't do in a given weekend. It's a really low time commitment with really great return on investment. And at the end, hopefully, you'll have a fully functioning game. So you've done your game jam, and you know kind of what you're good at and what you're not so good at. Should you improve on what you're bad at, or should you spend your time really polishing what you're good at? I'd argue you should spend your time on what you're very good at and shape a game idea around that. So you can differentiate yourself, because if you spend your time working on what you're bad at, you'll come out with minimal results and it won't shine to the people who are, naturally just better at that given thing. For instance, in my current game, I'm making a 3D game and I'm not a 3D artist. Now I do spend some time working on my 3D art skills, but the lion's share of my time for this game is going to be working on what I'm good at. I'm a programmer by trade, so I want deep mechanics that are fun to play. If I get the core game loop extremely fun, then people will be more forgiving of, the lack of 3D talent. So me being able to maximize my effort in that category, the category where I can actually differentiate myself, is far more valuable than me spending like an inordinate amount of time working on 3D art when there are people at the end of, an entire year, 2 years, 5 years, who will have, leaps and bounds more talent in that regard. So you found what you're good at and you're willing to maximize. Now what? Now you should think about scale. You should think about what your length of time that you're willing to commit to one game is, how much content you can produce given your weaknesses and your strengths, and you should think about what all that content would mean in terms to the game genres that you want. So I know that I love strategy games, and I know that I'm a good programmer, so that works perfectly well when I want to make an in-depth strategy management game. And I want it to be, an open world sandbox, but that would require too many 3D assets. So I have to pare that down based on what I'm bad at, making 3D art, and, scaling my expectations of what I could do with my programming and tempering that by what I'm bad at. So you can do this too. Pick the genres that your talents naturally lead to, but that you're also just passionate enough in that you're not going to give up on the game in the time zone or that you've allotted. Once you've thought about these things, once you've actually had a metric, a game jam, or what you can produce, once you've, looked inward into what you're bad at, and once you've gotten a sense of the scale and the scope of the game that you want, I think you have a better tool set to actually execute on the game. I think that's not talked about enough inside of the game dev community. I think, you can always create games, and it's important to spread the message that you can, and that, you should give it a try. Even if you fail, you should try again and try again. I think that all of those are very valid, but I'd also argue that adding a bit of realism to your expectations will actually lead to more satisfying outcomes. I'm sorry if this is coming off as a bit negative. I don't mean it that way. I'm just wanting to, I guess, maximize the ROI for beginning game devs. Because when you start seeing gains, whenever you start tempering your expectations and delivering on those expectations, I think your passion will grow. And with that, your willingness to commit to what you're bad at and really polish that too into becoming a more well-rounded dev. It's sort of like the beginning of any given thing. Whenever you're getting into bodybuilding, whenever you're getting into eating better, I think, you shouldn't start off going cold turkey on fried food because, that'll lead to burnout. So setting maintainable goals and trying to expand on them in slow increments is the best way to go, at least for my opinion. Okay, thanks for watching.